Welcome back to Gainesville as Matt Ulmer takes his first set as head coach of the Oregon Ducks. And an impressive outing for him, but more impressively, the coaches that we will see this weekend in Mary Wise, John Cook, and Jarrett Elliott. Just a wealth of information, and the success they've been able to amass over the years has been absolutely incredible. Second and third most active winningest coaches in Wise and Cook. Those two will face off tomorrow. And of course, Jarrett Elliott was there in the national championship last year. His Longhorns, the runners-up to Stanford.
How about Jarrett Elliott, who's been in the last 3 of the last 5 national championships? He's won one in 2012, but he was in the last 2 in 15 and 16. Didn't come away with the championship, but he knows how to get his team there, and I know they're favored to win it this year, starting the season at #1, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this team, Texas, performs under the lights.
If I'm talking with my friends and I'm talking about Texas volleyball, they're just sick with talent. I mean, just absolutely unbelievable stars on that side. And for Mary Wise, I mean, she has built a wonderful program here at Florida and has dominated the SEC over the years, but as of late, she's been challenged a little bit by a couple of teams like Kentucky and Missouri, Texas A&M, but she's got a wonderful senior class that's ready to come back. 5 seniors playing their final season in the blue and orange. Starting off strong, much like they did in the first set. There's Lauren Stivrins.
Well, it's an amazing stat right here. Nebraska started the first set 10-2, and then Oregon goes on a 23-10 run. So pretty amazing what timeouts will do for a team in the middle of a set, and pretty amazing what in-between sets can do also when coaches can calm their teams down.
And to go along with that, 7 different players had kills in that first set. So a diversity, just spreading the wealth for the Ducks. Ouchtown population Ubro as Lindsay Vanderweide took that one off the face. It's 2-1 Nebraska.
Really nice job by Lindsay Vanderweide right there. And that's where you're using the edges of the block right there. Well, I'm sorry, my bad. It hit the antenna, goes out of bounds, so she does not get that one. But she's trying to go after the edges of the block, and that's something that Matt Ulmer is trying to work with her on in the offseason, giving her different shots, speeds, different angles, so she can become a more consistent, high-percentage hitter.
The service ace for Stivrins just mishandled by Vanderweide, and so Nebraska, you saw them get off to a strong start. The question is, can they finish out here in set number 2? Only the Fecky number 2 in white. And giving chase with Maggie Scott. Playing off of that one. Saying stay clear, it's 4-3 Nebraska.
Yeah, that's surprising. That was a block right there I thought Nebraska should have had. Their arms aren't quite in the right position. They send it out of bounds instead of down on the floor for of the Oregon Ducks for the point. Oregon gets away with one on that one.
But this time right into the block of the Ducks and just nowhere to go. Big wall created.
You know, and blocking becomes, when hitters start getting blocked, it becomes mental. You know, it'll lessen their swing. It'll make them question really where they're going to go around the block, through the block. So right now, Oregon doing a great job of reading and making Nebraska question themselves a little bit.
Hit off the bottom of the Jumbotron here.
Which would have been playable.
Would have been playable,
yeah.
but kind of took us by surprise because I thought it was going to go just underneath it.
Our heads were coming over, following the ball, coming to the other side.
That one falls in, so Holman credit her with the point.
Really nice job, Brianna Holman, off that 1-foot approach. Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't a 1-foot approach. She comes right off that right side.
And that one,
oh yeah, it's on the line.
Close. That was on the line, yeah. And Vanderwide coming down the line.
You can see how important Vanderwide is to this team for Oregon because she's got so much power. Adding that finesse part of her game is going to be very important as she goes through this junior year and into the Pac-12 because she looks good when she mixes things up.
She was called upon or thought her biggest asset or role was going to be a hitter, but Matt Ulmer says, no, I want you to do more. I need you to use all the tools in your belt to help this team be successful.
Yeah, but she's an excellent passer, and that's where he said that the back row, when we were talking to him yesterday, oh, gosh, she can do it all from the back row, and we need her to be really consistent there.
Net violation called on Oregon as Nebraska takes the lead as we send it down to our Holly Rowe.
Well, keep in mind, Oregon is playing without one of their best outside hitters. 6'2" sophomore Jolie Rasmussen not available this weekend. She had an ankle injury early in her club season in her senior year. It bothered her all last year, and so they've really kept her off it. She just started back to practice, so she should be back with the Ducks soon. But they don't seem to be missing too many beats without her right now. But just keep in mind, they have a big, powerful weapon coming in when Jolie Rasmussen returns.
Yeah, Matt Ulmer told us that he was hoping to have her back for the Pac-12 season. She was instrumental for their team in last year's win at Washington. The Huskies picked to finish number 1 in the Pac-12. Right behind them, the defending national champion Stanford Cardinal. And then they're the Oregon Ducks, so they're looking to make some noise out west.
Yeah, it shows the amount of respect that the Pac-12 coaches have for Oregon and these returning players, no question. Lindsey Vanderwide being the number 1 returning player in that group.
And as we think about just all the youth and talent that's returning for Stanford, are you surprised at the fact that Washington is picked number 1 over the defending national champions?
I was very surprised. I think Washington is talented. There's no question about it. But when you have as many returning players, your setter, your libero, who is fantastic. I mean, Catherine Plummer, Moretta Lutz, you've got all your players except for Inky Janaku. Yeah, I was surprised.
Keegan Cook likes her chances out in Seattle, led by Courtney Schwann for the Huskies. It'll be an interesting
It'll be a battle. It'll be a dogfight.
For sure, absolutely.
Just like the Big Ten will.
And so we go back and forth. Nebraska won it in 2015. Stanford wins it out of the Pac-12 last year. And those two conferences have pretty much dominated women's college volleyball for almost the last 2 decades.
Yeah, the only team that busted up their party was Texas to win their couple of national championships, 2012 and 88.
And so it's just absolutely amazing and not surprising at the fact that the Big Ten continues to send a boatload of teams to the NCAA tournament, 8 to be exact, and 11 championships for the Big Ten, 15 for the Pac-12 overall.
I'm really impressed with Oregon's consistency right now. Once they got on track and got the nerves out, taking set 1. But right now, they're just a little more consistent in their passing, more consistent in how they're hitting and swinging at the ball. Their confidence is very high right now.
And continuing to build with big blocks on the left side. Compliments of Vanderweide.
This is one of the biggest blocks I've seen in a long time. Vanderweide all over that ball. There was nowhere for Stivrins to go. She read that perfectly.
6 kills, a couple of blocks, and a big grin for Vanderweide. The Ducks were there, but Fecky gets it to dribble down. But if you look at this Oregon defense, they've been able to anticipate and really do a good job moving across with the block on the net.
You have to give a little credit to the scouting. Even though neither of these teams have seen each other play this season, you go back to tendencies by players, tendencies of offenses run for a certain player, and it seems like this block has got Nebraska's number right now.
And Maggie Scott with the dump. Headsy play by the senior setter. Tipped out of the back row from Albright. And what an effort from Albright. The one-hand extension to keep it alive. Scott to Johnson. Johnson got him.
Just really some great volleyball being played right now. The saves, the defense that's being played by Oregon to keep balls alive. But look at this save right here in the backcourt by Nebraska, but the kill by Oregon to put it away. Look at the perfect passing right here. Gets the ball right where it needs to be for Oregon's setter.
I still appreciate that layout by Albright.
Yeah. You always appreciate a layout.
Once again, Samit Gill. She had 7 kills in her scrimmage and has done an excellent job coming in again. She had action in 21 matches a season ago, and now she's getting a start, working to improve her offense, and we're seeing it here already. Oregon doing some damage here in the second set, 14-11. They're on top. We're talking about the Oregon Ducks and how they can get up. Van Sickle just standing 5'9", but she's registered the highest vert thus far. Samit Gill right behind her as well. I mean, these ladies, they got ups.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Height has nothing to do with hops. So right now we're seeing Van Sickle, one of the smaller players on the floor, with the highest hops. And it's fun to watch those kind of players play when they can get up and really crank on the ball.
She can cover a lot of ground, and she will be integral in their success this season. We've seen just how many different plays she's made on the floor. But coming out of the timeout, it's Nebraska with the point.
Yeah, Michaela Fecky really got a hold of that one, got right through the block and down near the back line of that Oregon defense, had no shot at it.
Michaela Fecky is one of the returning pieces for John Cook, and we talked so much about the culture of this program and being able to meet those expectations or perhaps exceed them. And so when you are an upperclassman like Fecky and you have so many new faces on the floor, I mean, what's your first order of business? What's most important to you as a player?
Well, for Fecky, it's trying to incorporate those new ones and make them feel comfortable, understand the work ethic that it's going to take to get back to a championship match or to win a conference championship. But, you know, Nebraska's culture with how much they win year in and year out takes care of a lot of that. When you walk through those doors of that Devaney Center and into that locker room, you're seeing all those pictures of the All-Americans and the championships and all that. Look, culture is there. It is win. It's about winning here and working hard.
And for more on the Huskers, we'll send it over to our Holly Rowe.
Well, you talked about all that Nebraska lost last year. It is production, but it is also leadership and personality and that fight and spirit on the floor from the Rolfson twins and, of course, Juan Aranches. But I'm noticing very quiet Husker bench. A lot of these young players aren't really the ones that are comfortable speaking up yet. So after that last time out, I saw Kelly Hunter, their setter, their All-American returning setter who's injured and not playing today, go to her teammates and say, hey, everybody take a big, deep breath, refocus. But then she pulled Michaela Fecchi aside and asked Michaela to be more of a leader out there. Michaela came out swinging hard. We'll see if she can take over.
Good eyes, good stuff, Holly. Appreciate that. The one thing that, in addition to, some of the culture we're talking about, you have a new coaching staff as well, but you bring back some of that experience and the tradition. Michaela Banworth, former Husker, an Olympian as well.
I tell you, when you lose as much as Nebraska lost last year player-wise, that's a lot to replace, and especially when you're replacing with freshmen. They might be high-caliber freshmen that can come in and impact here and there during their freshman year, and maybe more as the season goes along. But that's a lot to replace. You don't just replace a Justine Juan Arantes. That's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of player. So, or the Rolfson twins. It doesn't just happen overnight. So it's going to take some time. He's got the talent to do it. It's just going to take the practice, the getting comfortable and continuing to progress as a player.
And if you're wondering just how much, that's probably more than 50% of their kills, their digs, and their blocks having graduated in those All-Americans.
I tell you, the one thing we haven't really talked much about is Oregon's offensive system, which is a 6-2. And what's interesting about their 6-2 is you've got their middle hitter. That's Monica Stone hitting behind the setter. That's unusual in a 6-2. Usually in a 6-2, the middle blocker hits in front of the setter, not behind. So you're going to see them run some slides behind the setter, things like that within their 6-2.
And this is very different from what we saw last year, Oregon, because they like to run everything fast. This year, just slowing the game down just a little bit. Matt Ulmer talked about his players bending just a little bit more, spending a lot of time on some of the tactical approach to the game, and, again, being a little bit more free-flowing for the Ducks, and it's working.
So you see right here, the ball gets up. Really nice job by the libero right here, and then using a smart swing. Taylor August right there, smart swing, using the edges of the Nebraska block to get the point. And when Matt Ulmer's talking about slowing the game down, he's talking about seeing the game at a slower pace also. Just see the game, slow it down so your decision-making becomes a little easier. Use your vision more. So I really like his approach. He's 33 years old. He's not afraid to make some changes. He's not afraid to listen to his players and really coach to his talent. And I think he's got some specialness about him as a head coach.
Well, he was one of the headlines of the coaching changes in the offseason, but there were plenty more. And the big one coming out of the Pac-12 is John Dunning retiring after 32 seasons after winning that national title with Stanford. David Shoji also stepping aside and saying, I think after 42 seasons,
he's earned it.
He's earned that right. And his former player, Robin Amo Santos, replacing him. And again, locked and loaded once again for the Big Ten as several of their teams in the top 7.
I think the most shocking one was John Dunning. You win the national championship, and you have your team coming back, young team, and you retire. So, hey, he goes out on his own terms. He goes, hey, I'm ready. I'm going to give this to someone else. He's going to come in with some great talent and hopefully lay down his groundwork to continue a Stanford dynasty.
Well, Kevin Hambley takes over, moved over from Illinois. That opened up a spot for John Cooks, former assistant, and Chris Thomas. And that ends a 4-0 run of Oregon. Jazz Sweet with the no-doubter.
I really like Jazz Sweet. I think this is a player that's going to be very, very special. She's got a nice, fast arm swing, hard hit ball, really understands that position over there on the right side early on as a freshman. She's really doing some nice things. Really smart swing by Taylor August. Again, we're seeing really some players making some good decisions with managing swings, going for the fingertips, getting the ball a little off balance to mess up the defender. You know, you see players going for balls. Oh. You know, it hit the fingertips and slowed down. What a beautiful dig right there by Oregon, but Willow Johnson in the net right there, so point Nebraska.
Albright. Scott sets up Willow Johnson, dug out by Maloney. And now a net violation called on Nebraska. So Hunter Atherton.
Oh, just the follow through right there after she gets the ball over the net. Really smart play on her behalf to try to score the point, but a little too far with the follow through.
Just misplay there, so trading points back and forth. This 25-point rally through 4 sets. Got to win by 2. Fifth set goes to 15.
And that's where those serves will drive a coach crazy. No, there's going to be missed serves. The timing of the missed serve is this is the tough one. You're in the 20s. Those 5 points go fast.
Oregon hosted this tournament last year. They took Nebraska to 5 sets in 2015, but still have not gotten a win in the Vert Challenge. And they're another set point away from taking a 2-0 lead over the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
I tell you, Van Sickle has dug some balls in the back row today. She's not afraid to get in the mix when it comes to picking up hard hits. There you go with the timing of the missed serve. You're at set point right there, and you serve it out of bounds. You're giving Nebraska hope if you're Oregon. And this is, even though it looks maybe insurmountable for Nebraska right now in the set, you're still giving them some hope.
Scott sets Van der Weide. Van der Weide, a little wide there. So Nebraska continuing to hang around. The timing of serves still been there. Ends the run for Nebraska. Oregon takes a 2-0 advantage. And this one, the number 18 team in the country, is handling their business on the road. Set 3 coming up.